Dun, 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 dun. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Bum, 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 bum. What's up, party people in the house?
What up, though?
Welcome to Texas Live, one of the sexiest voices in the SFL,
Mr. Master.
Dave Axis. What's up, party people of the SFL? What's cracking on this Tuesday night? Welcome to season 16, episode 19, which just happens to also be show number 81 of Axis Live. I see lots of peeps already in the house, several of you waiting for this humongous show we've got going on. We got week 10 recaps, a crazy week 10, by the way, I might add. We got Gunny's Pearls of Wisdom from the wisest man in the SFL. We have a special. Oh yeah, you know UCLA. They tip off at 10, bro. Who is that? Is that Doyle that said that? Yeah, UCLA baby, go Bruins. JaxData has an announcement slash special request. I'm sure some of you have already seen it on Twitter. Not sure if it was posted in the Discord or not, but we'll be announcing that on here as well tonight. We've got our Week 10 Diva of the Week nominees. And then we will have a Survivor Pool update. We have Next on Netma. And then in After Dark, we have some humongous breaking news about a team in the SFL. And we will get to that. And I will actually go to the panelists once that's announced. We will take some callers and some comments in the chat as well. So all of that being said, let's move on to my party people. Let's see who's in his house tonight. It looks like Freddie's in, Will Todd is in, Cam is in. Bump, 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 bump. Can you hear me now? Attaboy, Cam. Doyle's here. Coach Craven's in the house. Bob Funk, Ray Ray, Mike All, Josh Farnsey. Seed a Future. I'm not sure who that is, but welcome to the show. Cam Curtis is here. Kevin Say's in the house. David Leathers, the guy with the best first name in the SFL. Eagle Mondavi is here as well. Frank the Franchise Wade, Art Vandelay, Boonberry, the lovely Kendra Hall, the hospitable Kendra Hall. We had an amazing time at the halls this weekend, just so you know. Lisa and I did. So we had a really good time, and we thank them for their hospitality. Let's see, who else is here? Oh, and right after that, the lovely and amazing perfect pink Lisa's in the house. The long arm of the law is here. Doug Britton is with us as well. I see Benji Matson. He says, my wife says I can only go to the convention if I bring her, but she'll only go if you have some sort of support group for the wives of the SFL. You know what? That could probably be a real thing, Benji. No joke. Let me see. Anybody else in here that I haven't? Wiggy 9800, Bo Martin Jr., Eddie Gage, what up though? Tom Rahman just popped in. I think that's everybody. James Walters 87, Whistle is back, and I think that's everybody that I can see right now in the house. Those are the party people of the SFL on Axis Live tonight. Let's move on. Before we get to our panel, got a couple things I want to say. Number one, I wanted to thank the Halls for their amazing hospitality. We had a blast with them this weekend. Number two, go Bruins. Going to the Final Four after tonight, baby. Elite Eight, not good enough. Let's go to the Final Four. Also, Eagle put in the chat. Oh, I saw Hollywood just popped in. Good to see you, bro. Eagle put in the chat the link to the survey for the T-shirts. So when I put the survey in, we put it in a few weeks ago, and he just popped it in again right now. There was about 40 of you that answered, 40, that said you wanted shirts. So now with the survey, I need to know for sure how many you want, what sizes and whatever, so that way I can take it back to them, get a price based on how many we're getting. Then I'll let you know the price. Then after that, you would be committed. So you're not committed filling out the survey right now. I just need numbers and sizes and stuff. Kendra Hall said, we loved it. Best weekend ever. I know, right? And Lisa said, Kendra Hall will be ready to party with the SFL. Uh-oh, this is starting to be a thing now. I can already see it. The Housewives of the SFL. Oh, we should put that on. You know what? Let's put that on Twitch, Cam. Housewives of the SFL. That's the next big show. That's the next big thing. Let's do it. Let's do this, Brutus. All right. Now let's go to our panel. In the unscripted circle, the offensive coordinator and wide receiver for the glorious Lone Star Glory. It is the one and only Cuban Missile. Greg Soto's here. Greg, what's up? How you doing? Welcome back to the show, bro.
What up, Dave? What's going on, man? Nice to be back.
Not a whole lot. I'm mixing up my mugs right now, apparently, is what I'm doing. But thanks for being back. Appreciate it. And
right.
I'm not talking about this mug. Hello. All right. In the unfiltered circle, Who else do we have on the show tonight? Let's see who else is on the panel. I'm going to go. I just have this feeling that it's also glorious. And I'm thinking it's glorious. It's a glorious corner. And it is the one and only Bo Martin Jr. Hashtag McCrack Bo McCrack Martin Jr. I don't even know how to put all that together, bro.
It is a glorious, glorious Tuesday evening. What's up to all my SFLians?
What is up? Bo, welcome back. Bo, I don't even know what that means, but I'm going to be moving on now. Let's see. In the unedited circle, all you need to know about this guy is that he's the GM of Jacksonville. Mr. Mike All is back. Mike, what's going on, bro?
You were looking live at the new living room, and it's glorious here too, Dave.
I love that. I love that everybody's using the word glorious. I love it. Nacho says, welcome to LSG Live. Well, hey, I just throw a Jacksonville guy in there. What are you trying to do? Bo McCrack. Oh, there you go. There it is. It's Bo McCrack. That's your new name, bro. Thank you, Bob Funk. Appreciate that. Any panelists have the guts to rep some Michigan Wolverines gear tonight? I hope not, Josh Farnsey, because I hope they go down, and I hope they go down hard. All right. And going into the unforgettable circle. This is his spot, ladies and gentlemen. It's like he was made for this spot. He is the number 1 overall draft pick of season 16. He is the host of his own show, and he is the Nostradamus of the SFL, Mr. Tyler Falk. 2-10. What does say still happen for one team? See, you just got to be a little more vague and generic, Tyler. Welcome back to the show, bro. You're muted, bro.
There's number 1.
Right
There's
off the bat.
Oh, boy. It's good to be here, Dave, on this Tuesday evening, and looking forward to another good show.
We are going to have an amazing show. All right, let's do this. Let's get this thing started. Before we actually get into some games, I want to give everybody a quick recap of the playoff seedings. So let's do that first, if I can figure out which button to push. I think it's that one. All right, so as of Week 10, we still have 4 teams from the South that are in the playoffs. Lone Star moving up to 10, Houston moving back down to 11. Kendra Hall says, I'm ready for tomorrow. Tyler with Mickey ears. Oh, yeah, we're going to talk about that, too, later, I'm sure. Denver still is number 1, Florida number 2, Baltimore 3, Fort Worth 4, Jacksonville 5, St. Louis 6, Vancouver 7, Mexico City 8, Vegas is 9. Who would have thought Vegas would be in number 9 after the first half of the season? Lone Star 10, Houston 11, and Eddie Gage and his Arizona Scorpions sneak into number 12 after their win over Tulsa this weekend. So that is the playoff kind of recap. There's a lot of scenarios that Cam talked about in the SFL server when he posted this, so you guys can go there and kind of see how things break down and what have you. Also, real quick, before we go to the games, we are going to do one more thing. What are we doing? We're going to get that out of there. And real quick, just a quick reminder, the recap. We're going to do the games in order that they happen. I know we had a couple games that had to end up being makeups on Monday night, but we're going to do them in the order they were actually originally posted. So just like this, starting with DC at Queen City, Tulsa and Arizona wrapping up on Saturday, Mexico City starting on Sunday with Sioux Falls, Vegas on Sunday night. That's the order we will do them, even though we had the Monday night game. So, all right, now we can get into some SFL Week 10 action. Greg Soto, we're going to start with you, bro. DC at Queen City. Things started off kind of crazy for this weekend. DC getting their second victory going into the 4-time champion Queen City. Break this game down for me, bro.
Yeah, this was nuts. I was actually doing statistics for this game, and what it boiled down to, it was 3 quarters for Queen City versus the 4th quarter for DC Dragons. It was just a long, drawn-out game. It was back and forth. I think midway through, I want to say, let me look here at the stats. I think, midway through the 2nd quarter, I believe. Actually, almost the 1st quarter. Let me go back. Almost the entire 1st quarter, neither team had made a first down, which was ridiculous. I mean, it was just back and forth, a defensive battle back and forth. Shabazz Energy and also AJ Coswell, they were finding people, but it was just Nothing. I mean, nothing was happening there in the first quarter, and then finally, Queen City went ahead and scored. Went into halftime 7-0, and then DC in the third quarter got a field goal, and then it just looked like it was going to continue to be like that first half. It was going to be drawn out, back and forth, defensive battle. I think, let me look here. I keep forgetting his name. Jared Crow.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for Queen City, he was just all over the place. 10 tackles. Tina Begin there, especially in, I believe, the second half, dominating the line. So it really looked like Queen City was going to continue to be a low-scoring game, but Queen City was going to take this. And then out of nowhere, I don't know. I really don't even remember what exactly happened, but Sabaz Synergy all of a sudden came to life in the fourth quarter. It was just crazy, and they scored 10 in the fourth quarter. Queen City could only get a field goal. Queen City dominated. They had total yards. They had more passing yards. They had more rushing yards. They had more first downs. Their third down efficiency was only 1%, but you could say that they had that too. They had time of possession. And Sabaz Synergy, it was one of those things. It's kind of like a counter-attacking team in soccer. All they needed was one drive, and it was done. It was over. The game was over. It was unbelievable. We couldn't even believe it in the booth. And then, Sabaz Synergy came through there for the touchdown pass in the fourth quarter, and they ended up winning 13-10. It was crazy.
Greg, real quick, before we go on our hype train that I see just started up in the chat, we are at a level 4 hype train. We're 20% into that, on our way to level 5. But before we get to that, Greg, talk to me about these rushing games real quick. Kevin Say averaged 1.2 yards per carry, Jet Zero 1.8. Were the defenses that good, or were the running backs just that bad?
I think overall you're going to see some defenses that were this good this week. I don't know what it is, and you'll see when I recap one of the other games that I have too. It's just, running backs and fullbacks are having a hard time getting through these defensive lines this year. I think it's something that happened to more than just a few teams this week.
Well, JaxData had this over-under at 38.5. Only 23 points scored in this game. They also had Queen City favored by 3.5, so they did not cover. And SFL Nation, we took Queen City 90-58, so we start Week 10 off with a loss. Moving on to Game 2 on Saturday, which, by the way, I watched all these games at the Halls domain. And this obviously was a game that we all watched since both of them play for Vancouver, Bo. Was this game a little closer and a little more surprising than you anticipated?
You know, it was, Dave. And I wanna give San Diego a little bit of kudos. I know I can be hard on them at times. And I know there's no such thing as moral victories, right? But I want to be nice to San Diego for a second because, their team's going through it right now. They're 0-10, everything, they've had some really, really bad losses. Well, if there is such a thing as a good loss, this was a pretty good loss. They didn't look horrible losing. They've got, and I got to be honest, they've got 8 games probably where they looked horrible losing. But the games against the 2 best teams that they played against, like Denver and now against Vancouver, those teams, they've played their best against the best teams. So shout out to San Diego. That being said, now let's get into the nitty gritty.
Hey, Bo, sorry, but real quick, you're doing the Matrix thing. You are now called Bo Matrix Jr. And Cam just said if you ask someone's kid to draw Bo Martin Jr., this is what they would come up with: a bunch of colors in a circle. Go ahead, though.
I see the colors. I don't know what the heck's going on. Can you hear me okay, though?
Yeah, we can hear you perfectly.
Okay, yeah. I've stepped into a different time in a different universe.
Are you going to end up back on your old microphone in another room like you did that one night?
Well, the universe that I'm in now, San Diego is actually 10-0. So that's the reason why it looks like that.
That is seriously an alternate universe, but go ahead.
Yeah.
Bro.
You know what? Hold on, Dave. Hold on. Unscripted. Bo right now is Benji Matson's freaking wall. That's what Bo is right now.
Oh my gosh. This is like this is getting out of hand. By the way, we just hit level 5 hype train, ladies and gentlemen. Bo, I know the clock's been counting, so I'm going to give you some extra time. So go ahead and finish.
All right. So that being said, San Diego stayed in this game the whole game. It was 10-9 at the halftime. Vancouver never actually pulled away. They never pulled away. In fact, Vancouver actually only led by a point midway through the fourth quarter. It was 12-13. Vancouver was up by a point, and it wasn't until they got the field goal that they finally pulled away to the 16-12. But Tom Pepper, he struggled a little bit. He was 15-23. He had 180 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 1 interception. He did get sacked 3 times. But what really saved Vancouver is that beast of a running back. Robert Redford, I got to say, he might be in the lead for running back of the year at this point. He had 26 carries, 153 yards. He averaged 5.9 yards a carry. And then to add to that, he had another 3 receptions for another 22 yards. So you're talking almost 175 yards worth of total offense just from Robert Redford alone. Whereas on the other side of the ball, Javier Vasquez couldn't quite get going. He had 28 for 36. Not a bad day for Javier. 213 yards with 1 touchdown rather, and 1 interception. But the liability, and I gotta be firm. I don't want to say hard on Jalen Wells, but the liability is Jalen Wells. It is now and has been for this season. And I guess that's kind of to be expected. 11 rushes for 18 yards, a 1.6 yard per carry. And then he added another 6 pass receptions for 10 yards. But he did have that one very costly fumble that he lost. You can kind of tell that San Diego doesn't really depend on Jalen Wells. They went to their fullback 7 times he had 12 yards. Nick Hoagland did. So you can tell they're kind of, up in the air about how they feel about Jalen Wells. But I think San Diego does have some things to hang their hat on. They did okay. They stayed in the game against a really good Vancouver Legion team. Shout out to Josh Farnsey, though, from Vancouver. 17 total tackles, including 4 tackles for a loss. And then Mark Lopez with 9 total tackles, and Major Key with 7 total tackles and an interception for Vancouver. So Vancouver won. We expected them to win. But what we didn't expect was San Diego to hang as tight with them as they did. So I spent a little more time talking about San Diego, but I think it's only because everybody expected Vancouver to win, which they did. But right. I think San Diego gave them a run for their money, which was a surprise.
Right. Jalen Wells, another running back, 1.6 yards per carry. It seems to be a trend on Saturday. And also Peppers only thrown for 180 yards is very un-Peppers and un-Vancouver-like.
Yeah.
JaxData had this over under at 51.5 with 28 points. They did not come close. Vancouver was favored by 10.5, and they did not cover. However,
I see. I'm back from the alternate universe.
You are back. It only happens when you're talking from that universe, I guess. Apparently, when you're given a breakdown. We took Vancouver 127-23 to even up our record 1-1 on Saturday. Moving into Game 3, Mike All. LA at Portland. Oh my goodness, we just completed level 5 on the what? On the hype train. Look at us. We are bumping. Is there a level 6? If there's a level 6, let's do it. No, there's not. All right, well, I just want more. I want more. I always want more. All right, Mike All. Another game like the one we talked about before that was very surprising with DC beating Queen City. LA losing to Portland, and not just losing, but losing pretty well. Tell me about this LA at Portland game and what went wrong for LA.
Yeah, let me just start out saying, Dave, you are level 6, buddy.
Hey, yo, thank you, bro.
So this game and certainly the week before certainly made it obvious that Jacob Bouvet does come from the Jeremy Vega coaching tree, and we'll talk more about that later. But as far as the game, offense sells tickets, but defense wins games. Portland's defense dominated in a game, whereas thought that LA would run all over them. Going all in once again on the legs of love. Portland's offense.
2 weeks in a row for that, by the way.
Yeah, that works. Right.
And by the way, real quick, I'm sorry, I got to tell Cam, dude, that was plus 10, not minus 6. It was all 10 fingers, buddy. What's up? Go ahead, Michael.
Portland's offense found their way into the end zone this week with the running game of Ezekiel's Loves he gets 34 attempts following a 40 attempt week last week. His legs are going to fall off soon. But that being said, having a monster game again as well, but despite a few less attempts and fewer yards, the fact that he managed to find the end zone this week made all the difference for Portland on the scoreboard. However, it was their defense that really earned the win this week, keeping LA off the scoreboard in the first half and only letting 2 field goals slip through in the second half. However, Portland put the nail in the coffin when Chris Stack picked off Sully Richardson and took it back to the house for a pick six and a big statement win for Portland. LA did play a respectable game here, but fell short once again this week, and ceding first place in their division to Vancouver with only 2 weeks left to try and wrest it back from the eternal frost and get their playoff hopes back on track. Both backs did break the 1,000-yard mark for the season this game, so congrats to Robert Johnson and Ezekiel Love on what has already been a great season for both of them.
You know, Mike, Ezekiel Love has been coming on more and more the later the season goes. But on the flip side of that, what's going on with Sully Richardson? I think this is the second time in like 3 weeks that we've talked about him with near no touchdowns and multiple interceptions. Is LA going to be able to do anything in the playoffs if Sully plays like this? And then talk to me about Portland and the momentum they're gaining to go into next season with Ezekiel Love kind of becoming a solid running back in this league.
Yeah, so Sully is on a bad streak. 7 last week, 5 this week. He just wants to throw the ball. He doesn't care what jersey you're wearing. He wants you to catch it.
Well, if you add those interceptions, then he had even more completions, bro.
Exactly.
There you go.
However, yeah, I don't know if he's gotten skittish from taking some big hits during the season or whatnot, but he's got to calm down. Coaching staff has to work with him to limit those interceptions and get him back on the straight and narrow, get the completions back to his team only, and they'll turn things around. Portland though, yeah, they are coming into their own. I feel that they might be next season's Fort Worth.
Yeah, I could see that. I could totally see that happening. Hey, so Tom Rahman telling me to step off. LA will be just fine. But no, Crazy Eights 2000, which is Dwayne from St. Louis, that's not a typo. Third down percentage for Portland in that game was 11%. If you think that's bad, there's a game that has a team with even lower than that this week. Mike, thank you, bro. LA at Portland, JaxData 39.5 over under, only 27 points scored in the game. LA favored by 6.5. They did not cover, and either did SFL Nation, taking LA 110-44 to go 1-2 going into Game 4 on Saturday. And Tyler, this was a game. This was a great ball game, a little back and forth, a lot of great stats, at least on the passing side and some on the rushing side. And St. Louis, no turnovers, playing at home, finally breaks that losing streak. Tell me about that.
First off, singing a song of angry men to Eagle Man Tommy. Yes, I do hear them sing. But anywho, back to the matter at hand with Atlanta and St. Louis. Yes, this was a fantastic ball game from start to finish. No one really pulled away and kept it tight. Defense was the name of the day, especially for St. Louis, picking off Bryant Dynasty 3 times. But let's not talk about Bryant Dynasty's misfortunes a whole bunch today. I want to give some love to the fullback of St. Louis, Bill Cherry, able to pick up a solid 2.4 yards a carry at a running back spot. 10 carries, 24 yards. I mean, if you can get, equitable carries from your fullback, that's going to do wonders, especially if you're going to get, third and short, second and short. So really, really good job by Bill Cherry to just be consistent and able to find a hole through the offensive line. And yes, I do believe also a touchdown for Bill Cherry as well, right at the end. That would eventually be the game winner. So, fullbacks are people too. And just thought I'd give Bill Cherry a little bit of love tonight.
Give him some love. So I'm looking at the stats. Bryant Dynasty, almost 300 yards and 2 touchdowns, but he threw 3 interceptions, unfortunately. On the flip side, Christian Brown, only 200 yards with a touchdown, no interceptions, Tyler. Christian Brown pretty much coming into his own and managing the game well against Atlanta. Do you think that he's the key or he was the key to St. Louis breaking their losing streak with him not throwing all the interceptions he's been throwing during the losing streak?
Well, when you look at it, I mean, no interceptions is nice, but he only attempted 21 passes. So I think St. Louis was able to keep things close. The defense showed up and gave the offensive game plan a chance to work. He's still a rookie, still learning the nuances of the game up here at the SFL rather than the minor leagues. So being able to just play their game, St. Louis, that I think was more so the difference. The last couple of games, they were always behind. Now we got to see what they're like if they can keep it close. So I think it was more so that the game plan had a chance to do anything rather than Christian Brown coming out of his own.
Gotcha. Those 3 picks, one by Drew Riley, one by Colin Douglas, and one by my main man, Winkler. What's up, Wink? Congrats on the INT, bro. Now, St. Louis getting that monkey off their back, going to 6-4. Atlanta dropping to 4-6. Do you see both or only one of these teams making the playoffs?
Well, St. Louis for me, there's so many teams at 5-5, and as Cam put it earlier this week, even the 3-5 teams or 3-7 teams have a shot at making the playoffs. So it's all up in the air at this point. I think if St. Louis can keep things going, especially how they played this past week against Atlanta, St. Louis will be fine. For Atlanta, they have to get BDG Hollywood going. He did not have that great of a game. 83 yards. We're used to him getting over 100, especially in wins.
He did average 5.2 yards per carry, though. That's not terrible. That's not too shabby at all.
On 16 carries.
Yeah.
Yep. But I think if we would have saw BDG have a lot more yards, if it hadn't been for the costly turnovers by Dynasty.
Well, the other bad thing is they like to use BDG a lot as a receiver. He had 6 receptions for -3 yards, so the swing pass definitely not working for Atlanta and BDG. Before I get to JaxData, it looks like Doug Day is in the house. What's up, Doug Day? Says, I finally get to attend on Axis Live. Love you, Dave Axis. Love you too, bro. Let me see who else in here. BDG always hits us for 2 or 3 breakaways, and somebody said... Eddie said Atlanta played a 3-4 base defense for the first time all season. Eddie Gage, I'd like to get your response in the chat on how you think that worked out for them. JaxData had the Atlanta-St. Louis game over under at 47.5, so with 44 points scored. That was pretty close. And then Atlanta was actually favored by 6, so they definitely didn't cover. Good for St. Louis. And it looks like... we are on a 2-game losing streak, SFL Nation. We took Atlanta 87-61, moving into Game 5 on Saturday. Normally, we don't have panelists do their own games, but we had to have a panelist change during the week. So Soto got thrown into having to do his own game, which I think may actually be better because I know you're going to be harder on us than other people might be, Soto. Tell me about this game. It seemed one-sided for the most part. Lone Star looked like they had a chance to come back. It fell short. Tell me about this game.
Is this the offensive coordinator punishment that Charles told you to give me?
Yes.
This game, Lone Star, we just came out super aggressive. If you look at the stats, right there, passing yardage, 455. The rushing, this is one of the things that I talked to you about before, with rushing and low numbers. You could even see Baltimore there with only 47. We only had 13. Check Baltimore's D-line for PEDs, please. And then third down efficiency, we were actually pretty good. We had 58% on their 33. We had time of possession, but it really came down to the 5 interceptions and that fumble. And it just looked, to be honest, we were looking at the game. It just looked like everything that could go wrong went wrong. Poor LSG.
That's true.
Some people could say it's the AI. Some people it's game planning, a little bit of both. Home field advantage. It's just everything went wrong for us. And even with that, we only ended up losing by 8.
Right.
We still had opportunities. I think we had opportunities, but Giovanni Bolt and Troy Loshaw were just amazing. and some bad, bad timing, bad throws by my man Ace. Even though with what he did, he had 62 attempts, which was a lot. I don't think I had seen that at all throughout the week. There's a lot of things that I didn't see throughout the week. First I think first 3 quarters, Ike is usually bowling over people, and so is Cam Collier, and they were getting touched and going down. It's just one of those things where the game didn't go our way. We had just about every statistical advantage, with the exception of rushing TDs and turnovers and rushing yards. Everything else was in our favor, and it's just the interceptions and that fumble just killed us. And their defensive line was just lights out. Just lights out. Our defense did what they could to keep us in the game. They did a hell of a job. They scored when they needed to, but it just it wasn't in the cards for us. Wigmore was 20 of 29, 68%, only threw for 184 yards, 2 interceptions, no touchdowns. So it was there for us to take. We just couldn't capitalize and beat we beat ourselves on the turnovers.
Yeah, Eddie Gage saying in the chat, Alvin Mack was the best player in the field for Baltimore this week, and he was all over the place. Alvin Mack had 13 tackles and 1 assisted tackle, so
he was all over.
He was definitely a beast. That Baltimore defensive line is no joke, bro, and he's either is the defensive backfield for that matter.
Yeah.
Lone Star at Baltimore. JaxData had the over-under at 51.5. We scored 40. Baltimore's favored by 3.5, so they covered that. And SFL Nation, we are back in the win column. They took Baltimore 122-30. No faith in my glorious Lone Star glory, apparently. Hopefully we made it a little closer than they thought. Moving on to the last game, the nightcap Mike All for Saturday night, which technically was Monday night, but Tulsa at Arizona. Somebody said it in the chat. Congrats to Eddie Gage for beating Tulsa twice in 3 days. But I got to tell you, Mike, this game started off. Tulsa jumped out to a 10-0 lead, and I was thinking, how crazy would it be if Arizona, they were up, 30-13 in the third quarter, and if they were to turn around and lose to Tulsa on Monday night. That didn't happen, so tell us about the game.
How crazy would it be if I started talking instead of Mike?
Oh, my gosh. You know what, Bo? Go ahead and take this game. I'm going to take it away from Mike. I'm just going to give it to you.
You're right. That is crazy. It's madness.
Well, you know what? I thought you were over there. I thought it was Bo Matrix Jr. over there. My bad.
Yeah.
Hey.
Bo, you got this.
Hey, I got you covered there, Mike. But you know what, though? It was no more madness than the fact that the game had to be replayed again anyways, right? So it was a crazy game to begin with, because this was actually AZ versus Tulsa Part 2. Now, one thing I will say is AZ was handling their business the first game. They did the same thing the second game. If you remember back to the game that got blacked out due to the power outage, the score was 30-13 at halftime, right? The score of this game at the half, it was 28-16. So it was almost the same halftime score, give or take a little bit. But Arizona was dominating the game at halftime, and they pretty much dominated the entire game. Tulsa seemed to be struggling to move the ball a little bit. They had 241 total yards, 196 passing yards, and just 45 receiving yards. But what I want to talk about, and you mentioned this earlier, Dave. You mentioned when you were talking about Portland, You said Portland had 11% on third down. Tulsa said, Portland, hold my beer. Hold my beer, Portland. I got you covered. I'll take your 11% and I'll drop it down to 10%. How about 1 for 10 on third down conversions?
Wow.
Tulsa could not convert third downs to save their life. I'm not quite sure what was going on with their third down play calling. They were dominated on the time of possession. 24 minutes and 50 seconds to Arizona. Tulsa had 18 minutes and 12 seconds. During the passing game, JQ got going. He didn't have a horrible game, 26 for 39, a typical average JQ game, 196 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions, and it kept him relatively clean. He only got sacked 1 time. But Arizona, oh my God, DJ Moses. I want to say his whole government name, DJ Moses II. Okay. That is a grown man that was back there. Can we talk about 32 rushes for 239 yards with 3 touchdowns? Okay. This guy averaged 7.5 yards a reception. I mean, no, I'm sorry, not a reception, a carry. That sounded like passing yards, but that was his per carry average.
Right.
DJ Moses was beasting all over the field. He added another 5 receptions for 38 yards. He had almost 300 yards of total offense by himself. And when you've got a running back who can do that, you can afford to have Ashley, throw 4 interceptions because you're still going to win the game. So Ashley had a pretty good game other than the 4 interceptions. If you think about it, she only had 4 passes hit the ground because she was 20 for 28.
Yeah. So
4 of them hit the ground and 4 of them hit the other team. So that's a pretty good day. She had 308 total passing yards. And it was pretty much just a domination from beginning to end. They did make it close. Tulsa did. It was 31-26 by the start of the fourth quarter, but Tulsa never really got any closer than that. However, I do want to talk about another grown man before we're out of time. Shout out to Gabriel Manning. Oh my gosh. Gabriel Manning had more yards in kick returns than JQ had receiving. Had passing. How about that? Gabriel Manning, 9 kick returns for a whopping 324 yards, including a 106-yard kickoff return for a touchdown.
When it comes to returns, he's on a whole nother level, bro.
There's nobody better. He's so far away and better than anybody else. You can't see him off in the distance. But
Giovanni Bolt's probably a distant second, and then after that, I'm not sure.
Yeah, after that, I'm not sure. But Tulsa didn't play horribly, but I'll put it like this. They wouldn't have won the first game, and they wouldn't have won this game. Arizona had their number.
Well, I'm glad to see Marcus Dunhill in the chat, bro. Welcome to the show. I haven't seen you in forever. He said only 4 hitting the other team would have been a good day for me too, LOL. I think it would be for any quarterback. And let's see, JaxData, this Tulsa-Arizona game, had the over-under at 45.5. They blew that out of the water. Arizona almost covered that themselves with 77 points. Arizona was favored by 3.5. They covered that. And SFL Nation, we get a last-second win on Saturday. We took Arizona 112-43 to break even 3-3 on Saturday. So we'll see how we do on Sunday in a moment. But in the meantime, let's check out the wisest man in the SFL. Gunny, are you around?
Yes, sir. Just finished all my work notes.
That's good. And you got back from dinner. How was your dinner tonight?
It was good.
Good. Glad to hear. Well, I don't know if Ray Ray's in the chat or not, so I don't know if we'll have any lyrics to the Marines hymn, but I'm going to pop this bad boy on, and you are ready to rock and roll, sir.
Ray Ray is already squared away and has it posted. Good evening, SFL Nation. Congratulations to everyone that won in Week 10. The playoffs are upon us. The heaviest movers from Week 10 to Week 11. St. Louis jumped up plus 9 spots from 15 to 6. Vancouver jumped up 4 spots. Mexico City went down -2. Las Vegas moved up +4. And Houston went -2 down on the top 12. In the Atlantic, 2 teams are in the playoffs right now. In the East, 1 is represented. The North, 1 is representative. In the Pacific, 1 is representative. In the West, we have 3. And in the South, all 4 are right there locked in playoff position. There is only one 4-6 team, and that is Atlanta. There are 8 5-5 teams. 3 of them are in the playoffs. That's Arizona, Houston, and Lone Star. The 5 teams looking that are out are Los Angeles, Carolina, Charleston, Tulsa, and London. 3 key matchups to look for in Week 11 that have top 12 teams. Number 3, Baltimore at number 8, Mexico City. Number 5, Jacksonville at number 7, Vancouver. And number 9, number 9, Las Vegas at number 6, St. Louis. Those are the big games to look forward to in Week 11. Also, on a side note, I'd like to thank my recruiters, Staff Sergeant Brown and Sergeant Fontaine. 33 years ago, they convinced Gunny to sign the dotted line and become a United States Marine. Hoorah! And that is all.
Awesome, Gunny. Congrats on your anniversary, and thank you for your service, and thank you for being such a great part of this show. We appreciate everything you do and all your pearls of wisdom. All right, let's move on to Sunday's matchups. Starting off with Mexico City at Fort Worth, Mike All. And I was saying on Thursday that I'm pretty sure that this was going to be the game of the week. Did it live up to the hype?
Let me just say, wow. yeah, this was definitely a game of the week candidate right here. It started off score. It was unbelievable. It was like going to the air show and watching the Blue Angels just fly all over the place. They were back and forth until finally Fort Worth's defense stepped up and slowed down Mexico City, kept them from hitting a field goal. The field goal was just slightly out of reach of the kicker and just slightly missed. But it was a fun back and forth to watch. Fort Worth didn't let off the gas. Mexico City slowed down just a little too much. But it was amazing to watch both quarterbacks. Matt Wilson, one of the best, if not the best, quarterback ever to play in the SFL. Rookie sensation Cam Curtis, perfect day. 158.3 rating on the day. It was so fun to watch. Thank you for setting it up so I got to be the one to watch it this week. But yeah, there was defense. Don't get me wrong, but it was a pretty high powered offensive day. 38-33, just amazing. And no disrespect to Mexico City, they played their hearts out, but Fort Worth just wanted it more.
You know, somebody asked real quick, James Walters 87 said, is that stat right? 0 turnovers the whole game. According to the SFL website, 0 turnovers the entire game, Michael. How often do we get to see a game, two teams of this caliber score that many points with no turnovers?
It doesn't happen. There's always some interception, maybe an errant fumble. I don't know what to tell you. It was a masterclass of both teams. Matt Wilson wanted to get it done. Cam Curtis wanted to show that he's belonged on the same field as the legend, and they both had a great day.
I mean, yeah, Matt Wilson, 386 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions. Nothing to sneeze at, for sure. Cam just outplayed him. And I mean Cam Curtis and not Cam Irvine, because I don't think Cam Irvine can play football. And what else have we got on the defensive side? Nacho Sicario, 3 pass deflections, 1 in the back of the end zone on a play I saw. He was all over the place. Just a great hype overall game that actually lived up to the hype. I don't think you can play football. I don't think you can play football, Cam. Last thing, real quick, we're almost out of time, Mike. But as you see these two teams going into the playoffs, obviously they're both going to make it. Who do you think is going to go further between the two teams?
At this point, I see personally. I don't know how the playoffs will work out, but I would see Fort Worth and Denver in the championship at this point.
That was my Arnold Schwarzenegger impression, I guess, Cam. I don't know. I just made it up on the fly. JaxData had this over-under at 38.5, which they blew out of the water with 71 points. Fort Worth favored by 3.5, which was really close. And I'm a little surprised by this. SFL Nation took Mexico City 83-69. Fort Worth, one of the top teams in the league, playing at home. Mexico City coming off a couple bad losses. I'm very surprised that SFL Nation took Mexico City in that game. So we now have a we start off Sunday. 0-1 going to game 2. Tyler, another Tex-Mex team playing, which again them losing helped Lone Star. So we were at the beneficiary of a couple teams losing. Couldn't answer ourselves to move ourselves up in the standings. But Houston going to London. This is a game that I think Houston was maybe slightly favored. I don't remember for sure. But did you expect London to hold serve at home the way they did and take care of Houston, or did you think this was going to go the other way around?
No, London, is a little bit of a surprise this season for a lot of teams. Definitely, has been a thorn in team sides, especially if they're just. I wouldn't say Houston underestimated because again, they don't underestimate other teams. But at the same time, London has just found a way to win football games, either at home, maybe a couple on the road. It's just been really fun to watch. They've been really an intriguing team to come out on the field and actually have a chance to see what they can do. This is something that they've been trying to accomplish the last couple seasons. Now we're getting to see all the different rebuilds that they've gone through. Now they're starting to show their potential. Can they keep it up? As it remains to be seen. But having 2 turnovers, taking away the ball twice against Houston, a very competent Houston offense at times, is definitely something to keep an eye on. Definitely teams will have to watch out for.
Yeah, Cam just put in the chat. London led Sioux Falls 13-0 and lost 14-13. They led DC 19-0 but won 19-14. They led Houston 20-0 and won 23-16. Not sure a team has ever led a team by 3 double-digit shutouts like that. It seems like whether they're winning or losing, they just don't like blowouts. They want to keep every single game close, including the Baltimore game. Remember when they went to Baltimore and they barely lost at the end of that as well, which I think will be good for testing London. Chad Rowland, I saw him in, I think it was Gen Chat, said, our first goal for this season was 5 wins. They hit that goal. They have 2 weeks left, Tyler. Do you think they're going to get to 6 or 7 wins? And if so, do you think they're going to make the playoffs?
I'd like to see London get to 6 or 7 wins. I mean, they have a real tough test this week against Fort Worth. And I mean, they do have Queen City. So, it's not unrealistic to think they would probably, have a good chance of getting to 6 wins. But at the same time, you can't underestimate any team you play against here in the SFL.
Right.
But for London, this has been a very productive season, and can't wait to see where they go from here.
Well, let's talk about Houston for a second. They, I think through weeks, was it like 4, 5, 6, 5, 6, 7, whatever it was. They had that win streak. They were looking like one of the top tier teams in the league. Now they've lost, I think, maybe it's 2 out of their last 3, something like that. E.T. King, 442 yards, 2 touchdowns, interception. Not a terrible day. Warren Murray, only 31 yards, but a 4.4 yards per carry. What's going on with Houston the last few weeks? They just haven't seemed to be able to put it together like they did the previous few weeks before that.
Well, they've had to play from behind in the last 2 games, and making E.T. King throw the ball 40 times. I mean, that's not really going to be effective. He did have 2 touchdowns and 1 interception, so he balanced out. He did more than he had more touchdowns than interceptions. That's always good. But at the same time, he was consistent. It just didn't feel the same. Did have 11 incompletions, so a lot of those were contested balls. So definitely going to find his open receivers a little bit better.
Yeah, the defensive backfield of Houston didn't really step up either. Against London. I mean, London had no turnovers. The long arm of the law, Marcos Swift, Kai Cash, Ethan Kai, A.J. Barnes. We've talked about all of them many times and the great seasons they're having, but no interceptions and only, I think, 2 or 3 pass deflections the entire game. That's not going to get it done.
No, definitely not. The defense, we've seen how this defense can play when they're on. When they're off, like they have been the last 2 weeks, Well, that's all I really have to say. Just, not really going to win a couple of games. And I mean, maybe an underestimated fact is, Warren Murray's, 7 receptions, 7 carries, both for 30 yards on either side of the football. So definitely need a little bit more production from your running back.
Yeah, Cam just said in the chat, another team with 0 turnovers, which I find interesting. We had several teams with no turnovers this week, but the teams that did have turnovers, most of them had ridiculous amount of turnovers. Houston at London, JaxData, 40.5 over under, 39 points or 39 points in this game. Sorry, really close. Houston was favored by 6.5. Obviously did not cover, but look at us, SFL Nation. We actually took London, another surprise, just like the last game for me. But this was the closest who you got of the week, 79-74. We took London to get back on track and break even now on Sunday, going 1-1 into Game 3, Greg, which is Florida-Charleston. Another game, another divisional game that we thought was going to be a really good game, a really close game. It doesn't really seem like it worked out that way. What happened?
Well, when you play Florida, you're probably not going to win if you're just making field goals. It's just It's just not going to work. I was looking at some parts of the game, and for a period of time there, it looked like Charleston couldn't even get to the 20-yard line, to the red zone. They finally broke through. They got to the Florida 2-yard line, and the name of the game for this game was you can't beat Florida with field goals, and Florida's defense is nasty. It just is. It's not like Charleston had a horrible game. 184 passing yards to 209. It's really not that big of a difference. Rushing yards 80, 40% third down efficiency, only one turnover. It's not. It's just Charleston couldn't do anything when it came to getting into the end zone. They just couldn't do it. They had to settle for field goals the whole time. And on top of the defense being really good, Charlie Bolitsky was just amazing. 160 yards, 26 touches, 26 carries, 6.2 yards per carry, 2 TDs, between him and Cochran, even though Cochran threw 3 interceptions, passing TD, he was 10 for 30. 20 for 30. But he distributed the ball. He gave the ball to EJ, Verdon, JW, Charlie, Jeff, Steven. He threw it to every single weapon he had, and he spread the ball around, and Charleston's defense just couldn't stop that. And at the end of the day, again, when you're only making field goals, regardless if you're at home or away, it's just not going to work, especially when you're playing a top-tier team like Florida that's, at the time was 7-2, coming into your place.
Yeah, the fullbacks of Florida have been interesting this season, right? A lot of times they've been kind of the two guys, Doyle and Boletsky, combined for yards. Seems like when one of them's not playing well, the other one kind of picks them up, so they always get the stats. On the other side, though, for Charleston, Greg, TD Drew, 184 yards, no touchdowns, and a pick. Buchanan Simons, who had just a monster first half of the season, I don't know if he's cooling off or whatever, 5 receptions for 50 yards. It's respectable, but it's not the numbers he used to be putting up. And then also Keith Swearigan, he got 80 yards, but he had to do it on 25 carries. And this is a guy who was running all over people the first quarter of the season. So what's going on with Charleston's offense the last, maybe 3, 4, 5 weeks?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if it's just Charleston. Like even go back to the first game that I did, and then our game. There are some defenses that are just completely showing out here at the end. And you have some people like we have Ike, and she had a hard time. Cam had a hard time. Keith Swearingen had a hard time, getting the ball going. He had to touch it 25 times to actually get 80 yards. I don't know if it's that much on the running backs, but I think the defensive coordinators and the defensive line and the defenses of certain teams that are at the top of the SFL are really figuring things out when it comes to the run game, and they're just playing balls out, man.
Gotcha, I get it. Well, JaxData had this game at 51.5 over under, 39 points scored. Florida favored by 3.5, which they definitely covered. And look at us, SFL Nation, putting back-to-back wins together. We took Florida 110-46 to go up 2-1 on Sunday, going into Game 4. Bo Martin Jr., Jacksonville at Carolina, another divisional game just in the same division as the one we just talked about. Another game that we thought would be closer, and it wasn't. What's going on in that division, and what went on in this game?
Well, some people might have thought it was going to be a close game, but if you remember, think back to Thursday. This was my lock for the week. I said Jacksonville in my lock, right?
Right.
I had that inside intel. I knew Carolina was fine. I knew Carolina was flying high off of their victory from the previous week, right? So, and they were feeling really good about themselves. They didn't realize they were about to run into a buzzsaw. And here's why I say a buzzsaw, because looking at the actual game, no one individual had an incredible day from Jacksonville, right? So let's take a look at these numbers. There was 249 total yards. That's it. Carolina actually won that. They had 333 total yards to Jacksonville's 249. Jacksonville had 228 passing yards. Carolina won that one as well with 281 passing yards. Rush yards. Jacksonville 21 rush yards to Carolina's 52. So all of those categories were won by Carolina. So you would look at that and you would think, oh, okay, so Carolina must have won the game. And this is where it gets interesting. So Christian Christensen only had 1 touchdown to 0 interceptions. So you're thinking to yourself, where the heck does 37 points come from?
Right.
Because if he's only throwing, and Jared Willis was 10 rushes for 10 rushes for 15 yards, 0 touchdowns. There was no touchdowns from rushing, and there was only 1 touchdown thrown by Chris Christensen. So where'd all the points come from? That's where that's where special teams and your defense comes in handy. That Jacksonville special teams and defense was a beast. So you had a pick six. You had a pick six by Bernard Gordon. Bernard Gordon had a 40-yard pick six during a pivotal moment of the game. Succo Lamana was all over the place. He had 8 total tackles. 8 total tackles and 2 interceptions. So, and then Rain Rowe had another interception along with 6 total tackles. So their defense was all over the place. And not to mention, they had a kickoff, They had a kickoff by Mike St. Green, a 100-yard. I think this might be the first week in a row we've had 2 100-yard kickoff returns.
Well, Cam, you're listening and you're in the chat. Can you confirm that? Is this the first time we've had 2, or at least this season, you're saying, right? First time we've had 200-plus kickoff returns for touchdowns? Go ahead, Bo.
Yeah, we had 2. So Mike St. Green did it, and of course the legend, he did it. So we don't even talk about him. So, but it's just another day's work for him. So it doesn't even matter. And then on top of that, with Jacksonville, Grayson Willis had a great day. 5 receptions for 44 yards. Jack Wall put in work, 4 receptions for 68 yards. Ken Gossett even got in at 5 receptions for 40 yards. Carolina couldn't really get anything going offensively. They just couldn't. They couldn't get anything going. Xander Gold didn't have a horrible day. He went 33 for 44. Like I said, 281 yards. Where the tide really changed though is those 4 interceptions. Anytime Carolina tried to get something going on, they threw an interception. So unfortunately, that allowed Carolina to just kill drives, and Jacksonville executed flawlessly. Carolina dominated the time of possession, but Jacksonville didn't need to hold the ball. They were too busy scoring points. So, and then, whatever could go wrong for Carolina did. Even the reliable Whistle Jones missed a field goal, and he very rarely misses field goals. And even Whistle Jones missed a field goal. So it was just a really bad day for Carolina. And Jacksonville looks like the beast that they are. And I know Mike All doesn't want me to say it, so I won't say it, but I will say that Jacksonville looks like a very capable team.
Well, Cam says that in the chat, yes, first time this season, all time, he's not sure. I'm sure it's happened before. And I guess I know why Whistle said when we started this that we could skip this game. And I don't believe you, Cam, because the game probably hasn't even started yet. So don't tease me with the UCLA BS, bro. I'm on to your game. All right, let's see. Jacksonville at Carolina. JaxData, 48.5 over-under. 54 points scored in this game. This was a pick 'em. And look at SFL Nation. Is, dare I say, 3 in a row? We took Jacksonville 97-50, moving into the 5th game of the weekend. Second to last game, Mike All. Louisiana at Denver. If Louisiana had any chance of the playoffs, they were going to have to beat the best team in the league. That obviously did not happen. So what did happen?
Well, the best team won, obviously.
There you go. Next game.
So I alluded to earlier how it's obvious, Jacob Bouvette comes from the Jeremy Vega coaching tree. It's very reminiscent of the Ravens when they won the what's that other league that does football? I don't remember. It's something national. I don't remember. You have a good running back, you have a game managing quarterback, and you have a defense that can shut it down, and that's what Denver has. That's what Denver does. It did, however, look like it might go the other way. The first quarter, Denver kind of took over, did Denver's thing, and pounded on Louisiana. But then the next 2 quarters, it really looked like Louisiana had it figured out. And these were 2 teams that we thought might end up in the championship game last year. roles are a little bit reversed this year. Denver's still there, but Louisiana just isn't getting it done as much this year. But the second 2 quarters, Louisiana looked like they were on track to get that upset victory here over Denver. However, come the fourth quarter again, Denver said, nice try. We're just going to close this out and win the division. And that's what they did. They shut it down. They won their division. It was an amazing game. Denver stifling on defense that last quarter, amazing on offense. It's just, how do you find a way to beat Jeremy Vega? Right now, it doesn't look like there is a way.
Well, only one team has the answer to that. This game, actually, I think Cam mentioned, knocks Louisiana officially out of the playoffs. It solidified Denver's division win, but I don't believe they have concreted the number one seed yet. Cam I think that Florida still has a chance to tie with 2 weeks left. In the meantime, though, where's Louisiana go from here, Mike? I mean, Johnny had a subpar game, 113 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Reggie Streeter had 102 yards, 7 yards to carry, 2 touchdowns, which is great. He's kind of back on. But even, does this a testament to Denver that even if Reggie Streeter's on, Louisiana can beat them?
I think so. And like I said, Louisiana played well.
Right.
Granted, Pickler was subpar, but Pickler has those kind of games from time to time. That's why they have Reggie Streeter. Reggie Streeter had a good game, 102 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Josh Miller didn't even play that much better, 217 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions.
Well, yeah. Well, he's the game manager for Denver. He doesn't have to be extraordinary. They have McChesney for that.
Right, and that was my next thing. So somebody said earlier that they think Robert Redford is up there in the conversation for MVP. Obviously, Jared McChesney and Peppers have been in the conversation all season long. On that 3-way battle, where do you stand, Mike?
Well, I don't want to see that 3-way, but I mean, if we look at most valuable player right now, with no disrespect to Vancouver, because Peppers and Redford are killing it, I think McChesney just has it put together.
Gotcha. Well, JaxData had this over-under at 48.5, so with 47 points, they pretty much nailed it. Denver was favored by 7.5. They did cover, and holy smokes, 4-game winning streak for SFL Nation, taking Denver 125-29. Going into the final game of the weekend, Tyler, Sioux Falls at Vegas. I think on paper you're thinking, this could be an okay game, but it's probably not going to knock my socks off. But it looks like it was a really good game.
Really good game. Everything was back and forth. Each quarter, you had a different leader. So at the end of the first quarter, Sioux Falls was leading. At the end of the second quarter, Las Vegas was leading. At the end of the third, it was back to Sioux Falls. It was a 9-point fourth quarter that ended up giving the victory to Las Vegas. And it was just really fun to watch. And I think what killed Sioux Falls was their 4 turnovers, and crucially, the final turnover in the end of the game under 2 minutes. Just something you cannot do, especially if you're, a potential Hall of Fame quarterback, Julian Tyree, who is #1 in so many passing categories all time. You cannot do that. You have the experience to maintain consistency. You've shown earlier in your career you maintain consistency. Is it just the years getting too much for Julian Tyree? There's too many changes in the SFL for Julian Tyree to react to? I don't know.
Well, Tyler, if you told me that Colin Hart was going to rush for 118 yards and Scott Johnson was only going to rush for 49, I might think the score was going to be flip-flopped, right? So the key to victory, Colin Pierce maybe, 288, 1 touchdown, no interception, so he managed the game well. What were the other big highlights, if you will, that got Vegas over the hump for this game?
We could talk about those turnovers again, but I think most importantly, it was just the consistency, the big playability when they needed to, especially to A-Star Miramontes right at the beginning. The consistent rushing attack from Scott Johnson, only had 49 yards, but when he needed to, especially at the end of the game, was extremely clutch in picking up his touchdown from 11 yards out. Again, he didn't need to do too much. Colin Pierce didn't need to do too much. Yes, he has, just over 50% completion percentage for passing, but no picks. So really solid job from Las Vegas not to play, in over their heads against a team that historically has been really good and, historically has had their number. So great job for Las Vegas. That's a tremendous win for them. They're on, don't look down, I think it's a 3 to 4 game winning streak, Dave.
Yeah, I think it's 4. I think you're right. I was going to ask you, so it looks like John Blades adds another touchdown to his stats this season. But when you look at Doug Britton, bro. Doug Britton, 3 kick returns for 94 yards. He's already got, I think, 1 or 2 touchdowns, and that's just a great key for Vegas for him to get them good field position to start every drive. How key has he been, and how key is he going to be looking like they're going to make the playoffs after all?
When we usually talk about field position, it's usually on a punt when you expect the team to go for it in a situation. Just got to make sure the punter is all good and you got to take everything back. But this is a really good flip side to the coin, making sure your returner can get you into solid field position. So Doug Britton is definitely going to be key, especially for a rookie quarterback. If he can get good returns, especially moving forward, especially into the postseason, if they get there. Giving that rookie quarterback, giving Colin Pierce a chance to make plays without having to, think, all right, I've got to go down another 80 yards again to try and, get a score. I've got to work with so much field. Give him, little chunks of field. They'll be just fine.
Well, JaxData had this game at 48.5. They fell short with only 39 points scored. Vegas was favored by 7.5, so pretty close there. And then look at us, SFL Nation. 5-game winning streak to end the weekend. 4 out of 5. 5 out of 6. On Sunday to make us 5-1 on Sunday, taking Las Vegas 113-41 and put us 8-4 for Week 10. Not too shabby. All right, those are your Week 10 recaps. We are now going to move into our Diva of the Week. Nominees for Week 10. Let me start with Greg Soto. Greg, who is your Season 16 Week 10 Diva of the Week nominee?
Yeah, my man, 32 carries, 239 yards, 7.5 yards per carry, 3 rushing touchdowns, 5 receptions, 38 yards, 7.6 yards per reception. The man, the grown-ass man that Bo was talking about, DJ Moses II.
No.
Now, that's not even... Yeah, I know you always ask about Diva moment, and I always skip that. But I did a little bit of research.
I appreciate you not skipping it this time.
Yeah, sometimes the stats speak for themselves, which they kind of do. But Arizona then tweeted, Victory Tuesday, 44-yard run to the house by DJ Moses II. We're putting Deion Hawkins on notice. Pay up on the wager we made, and we will be moving furniture at the SFL convention. So that was tweeted out. So the Diva moment is, not only did Moses like that tweet, he retweeted it, and then he liked his own retweet. So hashtag career day for number 25.
There you go.
So that is the Diva moment, not only on the field with the yardage, but retweeting and liking his own retweet, which I thought was crazy. But okay.
There you go. There you go. Money. All right, Bo Martin Jr., you're going to be able to compete with that? Who's your Diva of the Week, Season 16, Week 10 nominee?
Yeah, I can compete with that. I mean, DJ Moses had a great day. I talked about it. He did. Nobody's going to deny that. He had a MVP player type week. How about an entire defense? And let's be honest, this is my Diva of the Week nominee. They don't really have much to play for. They've been eliminated from the playoffs, right? They could easily put their heads down and say, well, it's just not in the cards for us this year. We don't have to really try. But instead, my defense dominated a team with a winning record. My Diva of the Week dominated a team with a winning record. They pretty much held him in check the entire game, keeping him out of the end zone. But again, this isn't about the entire game, but they did dominate. My Diva of the Week moment for the Portland defense. I want to give a shout out to Portland. They don't get a lot of love sometimes, but I want to give them love where love is due. That defense acted a donkey this past week. And I tell you, LA couldn't even really smell the end zone. They couldn't even sniff it. But when it came down to it, it was a close game, and LA had the ball with an opportunity to drive to score the game in the fourth quarter. Here's what made them Diva. Portland came through with not one, but 2 interceptions within 15 seconds of each other, Dave. 2 interceptions in 15 seconds. The first one went for a pick 6, and then the second one to seal the deal to say, no, LA, you get no love. They got another interception, 15 seconds later. Now that's Diva.
There you go. 2 great nominees so far, Mike All. Where are you going with your Diva of the Week, Season 16, Week 10 nominee?
Those are respectable nominees, Dave. And I appreciate that. DJ Moses II, beast. Portland's defense, amazing. But to be a diva, you have to be perfect. And that was Cam Curtis. He was perfect. You can't deny the fact that he should be Diva of the Week. He was perfect. Much like one of my favorite wrestlers back in the day, Mr. Perfect.
Mr. Perfect. All right. Go ahead.
And that's how you do it. You be perfect, you win Diva of the Week. Cam Curtis for Diva of the Week.
Okay, there you go.
Out.
Tyler, man, there's 3 outstanding nominees so far. Who is your Diva of the Week, Season 16, Week 10 nominee?
Oh, boy. Mine was already taken. I got a couple of mine already taken. But I think that, the defense gets enough love as it is, and another defensive players are going to get nominated here, but it's not going to be probably the one you're thinking. I'm thinking, it's in that Sioux Falls game, you have Julian Tyree, one of the best quarterbacks in the league that we've seen in a long time. He's been here for a while, and he gets back to pass in the crucial 2-minute drill drive, and he throws a pass that looked like it was caught over the middle. Instead, a guy by the name of Chuck Warsaw, non-contact player, makes a no-look interception to seal the day for Las Vegas. And I can tell you what, if Sioux Falls ends up losing next week and is knocked out of the playoffs, they'll be ruining Chuck Warsaw's name.
Okay, there you go. So that's 4 down. Now I need to go to Gunny for the 5th Diva of the Week, season 16, Week 10 nominee. Gunny, who you got?
First of all, I'd like to thank E.K. Vincent for calling our game Saturday and Monday night. He had Ramos with him Saturday night, and he had Stephen Molinax with him on Monday night. But my Diva of the Week, even though it could be the interceptions of Baltimore with Loshaw and Giovanni Bolt, I think they had 5 between the both of them. I'm going to go with the announcers that I believe called 3 games over the weekend with Gerald Giudice and Tyler Falk.
Oh, my goodness. Look at Gunny's picks or nominees are always outside the box. He's always thinking of stuff we don't think of, and that's why he is the wisest man in the SFL. All right, that's 5 down and 1 to go, and that one happens to be mine, which will be and should be the actual winner of the Diva of the Week award for Week 10 in Season 16. And as much as it pains me to say it, as much as it pains me to nominate these peeps, I'm going to do it anyway. My Diva of the Weeks, or Divas of the Week, Season 16, Week 10 nominees are, enter dramatic music here, the Baltimore safeties of Giovanni Bolt and Troy Loshaw. 11.5 combined tackles, 5 assisted tackles, 1 forced fumble, 5 interceptions, including a Diva moment 98-yard pick 6 to beat one of the best teams in the SFL, the glorious Lone Star Glory. What can you say more than those safeties winning the game for Baltimore against an outstanding Lone Star team? You know what you say? You say Divas of the Week. That's what you say. That's it. It's done. It's over. I'm out. All yours are cute, but they're not going to win. All right. All that being said, what are we moving on to next? Oh, I have an announcement from. It's kind of an announcement. It's a request from JaxData. I'm pretty sure that this has already been posted in the SFL Discord somewhere, but I wanted to put it on here as well real quick. And JaxData is looking for people to help out with JaxData. And here's a tweet from them a couple days ago. It says, if you are interested in possibly joining JaxData in either an analyst or content role, please reach out by DM on Discord to, that's Hunter Norwoods. And this is, we are looking to branch out into several SFL brands to give us and others space/support for larger projects within the SFL data landscape. He also DM'd me and said that they are looking for like-minded individuals who love advanced statistics and spreadsheets. Coding knowledge is a big plus. Also looking for content creators to take over the reins for written content for JaxData. So anybody interested, please DM Hunter at that DM address right there in the SFL Discord. So that's one announcement down. Let's go on to another announcement, which is Johnny Pickler had two teams or what do they call it, Tyler? I don't know, entries. There you go. 2 entries in this. So we were down to 6. Well, Johnny, like Eddie last week, has lost one of his entries. So we are now down to 5 entries. So Ramen has 1, I have 1, Johnny has 1, Jack Wall has 1, and Ray has 1. It's down to 5 people going into week 11 for over $3,000. Next, what is going to be tomorrow night, Wednesday at 8 p.m. Tyler, tell us all what is next on NETMA.
Thank you, Dave. Next on NETMA, there are just 2 weeks remaining in the SFL season. Only 5 teams know their off-season fate, and there are still 9 playoff spots left for grabs. And with 8 teams at 500, it's time for someone to step up and lead their team to the promised land. Can BDG or Sully Richardson pull their respective teams out of the slump they find themselves in? And is Las Vegas legit? The Fatal Fury are on fire. But are they just a mirage in the deserts of Nevada? They take on St. Louis this week, and we'll talk about it just a little bit. And why I think that Portland has a better chance of sneaking into the playoffs rather than Louisiana or Sioux Falls. All teams find themselves at 3-7. You won't want to miss this one, even if you're just tuning in to see me wear Mickey Mouse ears.
Yes.
See you tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern on NETMA.
And let me just say, I think we should all tune in tomorrow and give Tyler his biggest audience ever, so we can all see him wearing Mickey Mouse ears. Cam in the chat said, go ahead.
You can't forget about Kendra. Why not just come to see me? Come to see Kendra. Why not?
Well, here's because Cam just put in there, he said, will Kendra be back, or will she have another baseless excuse this week? Find out tomorrow on NETMA. Oh, that is hilarious. That is funny. Okay. All right. Let me see here. I think we're down to our breaking news. Let me see. Is that the last thing I got here? I think it is. It looks like, yeah, it looks like we're going into After Dark, folks. So we've done Week 10 recaps. Gunny gave us his Pearls of Wisdom. We did our Season 16 Week 10 Diva of the Week nominees. We put the request out there for JaxData. You got a Survivor update. You know what's next on NETMA. This has been a loaded show. However, we have one more thing to talk about. We actually have breaking news in the SFL between a team and a player. They were trying to get me a joint statement today. They could not agree on the joint statement. So I am only going to be giving you the breaking news tonight, but I have welcomed all parties and their statements on the show on Thursday if they want to come on. So we'll see if anybody takes me up on coming on the show on Thursday. But the breaking news in the SFL after Week 10 comes out of... Oh, look at that. Look at that. I got you guys all on the edge of your seat, and I'm messing up the buttons. How you like them apples? Comes out of... Oh, how am I not... Why is this not working? Look at that. Oh, you guys are all, like, on edge right now. You know what? I'm on edge, too. Why is that not working? Oh, there it is. I got it now. Ready? Coming out of Louisiana. Breaking news earlier today. There is no more balling out for the boot. SFL franchise Louisiana Revolution and quarterback Johnny Pickler have agreed to part ways after the end of this season. So going in 2 more weeks, after week 12, Johnny Pickler will be a free agent. Louisiana will be in need of a quarterback. We will have at least some of those parties and some of those statements on the show on Thursday. I literally just got some confirmation on that right now as I was announcing it. So let me go to the panel real quick. I will go to let me see. I will go to I'll go to the chat here in a moment, but let me go to the panel first. Soto, let me start with you, and let me ask you, as you hear the news coming out of Huma, Louisiana, what do you think about it? What comes to mind first?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind right away is 2 teams, 2 years going now. You know, it'll be 3 teams in 3 years.
No, well, 2 years. He was with Louisiana 2 seasons.
Oh, 2 seasons. My bad. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of like the first thing that comes to mind is just, and look, and I know that here in the SFL, I mean, you can go to team every year if you want to. But that's the first thing that comes to mind, especially from like a high-profile person and the position that person plays, that Johnny plays. You know, you would hope that he finds a home where he could be there, be the quarterback, sustain time, and be really that quarterback, a franchise quarterback for a team for more than just a season or 2. That's what I would hope for Johnny, that he does find that team. But I mean, really, that's the thing that, that comes to mind right away is, and the way they're doing it too. Again, just, announcing it this early, I mean, we still got, 2 weeks. I mean, I know their season's pretty much done. But the time frame, and then just being at a team for no longer than 2 seasons, only being in the league for three seasons so far. It's just, that's the first thing that comes to mind.
Okay. Bo Martin Jr., going off kind of what Greg said too, the timing, I mean, we're still in the season, but Louisiana's season is over. So in addition to your initial reaction, do you think this is a good time to announce it? Should they have waited? What do you think?
I'll be honest. If it seems, I'm looking at the chat and it doesn't seem like people are surprised. Now, to me, this is huge breaking news. I had no idea this was even going on. So I guess to some people, they saw it coming. I would have personally waited until the end of the season. You always want to keep continuity within your team, but perhaps it's something that couldn't be hidden, apparently, since other people already know. It's true enough. Louisiana is out of the playoffs, so I guess there's really no harm in saying it now. The only thing it does now is it opens up the door for anybody who might be looking for a quarterback to go ahead and perhaps reach out to Johnny and say, hey, Johnny, what's going on? So, I guess there's no harm, no foul in letting people know now versus at the end of the season since they're out already.
Okay.
Now, as far as what I think about the decision itself, or what's my reaction to it, I'm a little surprised, but not really. I like Johnny. Johnny's a pretty cool cat, and I'm the type of guy who likes a certain degree of bravado, right? However, what I will say about that, and I'll try to keep it clean, keep it brief, when you have that kind of bravado, you have to be able to back it up with wins. And I've got no problem with the bravado that Johnny displays. He's very confident in himself, and I like the confidence. However, when you've got that kind of confidence, you have to have the wins and the records to back it up. And since he's lacking that, I can kind of see why perhaps Louisiana doesn't want the heat that goes along with that, because you can't have the drama and the losses and expect the heat not to fall back on you.
Well, you know what, Michael? Let me ask you that. Piggybacking on what Bo just said, Gerald's been with Johnny before. He was with him in St. Louis, so you know what you're getting when you have Johnny on your team. So, what do you think about that? Plus your reaction. Plus, I also want to ask you. Bo talked about the timing as well. Who do you think this timing benefits more? Does it benefit Louisiana more, so they can start quarterback shopping, or does it benefit Johnny more, so he can team shop?
I don't know if it benefits either party more. Yeah, he's a very polarizing figure in the SFL. He's got his fans, he's got his detractors. I think it puts both of them in a poor position, just because is Louisiana going to get the best of Johnny the next 2 weeks? I mean, just because they're out of it doesn't mean they can't play upset, you know?
Yeah, they can't play spoiler, right?
But I don't. This is very odd timing for me. It catches me off guard. I was not expecting this. He was basically the face of the franchise. Him and Gerald have been together from the start for Johnny. I don't know.
Hey,
I don't know what to say.
Mike, let me actually, Tyler, before I get to you, I actually just received from the Pickler PR team their official statement, since they could not agree on a joint statement between Louisiana and Johnny. Here is what the PR team has come out with, and I will post this on Thursday's show. It's too late to get the graphic in there now, but I will read what it said. It says, it's titled, "The Louisiana Revolution will not be extending quarterback Johnny Pickler an offer to return next season." The first paragraph says, "Let the record show that Johnny Pickler did initially indicate to Louisiana leadership that he would love to stay in Louisiana and would be willing to take all of the steps necessary to quote-unquote make it work, as he felt the relationship was worth fighting for." And that is what Louisiana's push to part ways that concluded any possibility of the quarterback's return. I have actually a statement from Johnny I'll read as well. I want to read a couple more things, Tyler, and then I want to get your reaction to this. If Louisiana allows Johnny to finish the season as the Revolution's starting quarterback, he hopes to end his relationship with the team on a high note and will look to grab a couple more wins together for the state of Louisiana. In regards to the timing of the statement, Pickler notes the reasoning as, "If it's not a secret to me anymore that I won't be retained by Louisiana, it doesn't need to be a secret to anybody. I feel my teammates deserve to know what's going on, and there are 23 other organizations that should be aware of my availability sooner than later." There's also another statement I'll read in a moment, but Tyler, let me go to you first. So it looks like Pickler wanted to stay. Louisiana wanted to part ways. It sounds like they're trying to make it, as civil as possible for the last couple weeks. And Johnny sounds like he's in favor of this timing. We don't have a comment from Louisiana, so I'm not sure if they're in favor or not in favor. But Tyler, what is your reaction to all this?
I'm going to probably be one of the only people that says I am not surprised by this movement, and here's why. Let's go back to the beginning of the season when Swamp Talk was just getting off the ground. Remember that old fiasco with Pickler and Louisiana?
Yeah, like week 3, 4, 5, somewhere in there, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think the whole deal where Louisiana said, we've come to an agreement, we're all buddy again. There's been definitely something behind the scenes with Pickler in Louisiana, and here's the results. Pickler will not be retained by Louisiana next season. For me, this doesn't just hurt Louisiana. This doesn't just hurt Pickler. This hurts the SFL, the SFL minor league as well. Why? Because now we have one, decent quarterback that's been an SFL caliber quarterback for the last couple seasons that is going to take a spot of a potential minor league quarterback draftee in the season 17 draft. So it's going to be, this is not a favorable situation for anyone, in my opinion. Pickler, I hope he finds a new spot. I hope he finds, his forever home. He's now had, Greg Soto mentioned, 2 homes in the last 3 seasons. He's going to have to find a third one for the 4th season. It's a little bit disconcerting. I understand where Pickler's coming from, especially with him, again, his reasons for being upset with Swamp Talk, where I think they're focusing more on the content rather than the play on the field. And I think there's been definitely a differing of opinions between the 2 camps. And I mean, we only have one side of the story here with Pickler's PR team coming out. I'd love to hear the response from Louisiana and love to, hear their side of the story as well.
I'm officially inviting all parties onto the show with or without statements, however they want to deal with it. Greg, before I go through one more round and we wrap up, let me read Johnny's personal statement on this. I have had a blast playing for the people of Louisiana, and it has been an honor playing underneath Gerald Smith since my rookie season. While I am saddened both are seemingly coming to an end, I am also extremely optimistic about the future. I will miss my teammates and my coach. Gerald is one of the best in the business. I'll continue to cherish our friendship, and I'll undoubtedly miss the coach-to-quarterback bond we have fostered. I can say with confidence to whoever is at the helm of the Revolution offense next season, you're in good hands. Gerald has proven his ability to develop a quarterback, that's for damn sure. I will always wish nothing but the best for all of my Louisiana brothers and for their respective futures. While I'm frankly surprised with leadership's overt intentions, I couldn't be more excited to begin the next chapter of my SFL journey. Soto, reaction to any of Johnny's comments or the statement from the Pickler PR team?
Well, isn't that the same isn't the PR
Well,
firm
I think
Johnny? I mean,
I think Kelly is technically his PR team.
No, and I go back to this whole thing. I think it's something you asked Mike All. I think this benefits Louisiana, to be honest with you, just because he's such a polarizing person in the SFL. And really, Louisiana's really not. You could even go back to some things that happened in at the beginning of last season. With another team, Pickler and Louisiana were involved in that. Louisiana paid their debt of what they had happen, and Pickler, was in that scenario as well with that other team. And I just think this bodes well for Louisiana. I think with their coaching staff, their owner, their coaching staff in there, I think they'll be able to find a replacement, whether it's a rookie or who knows, maybe there's another quarterback at the end of the season that's going to decide not to go back to their team and maybe would like to team up there in Louisiana. But I don't know. I mean, I just go back to, when you're a quarterback, and I'm not saying that Johnny didn't do this. Maybe he did. He wanted to come back. But there has to be some other reason why the team feels that they can no longer work on Johnny's build. This is definitely, I don't think this can't just be play on the field. This is simulation football. We try, those coaches and that owner has hopefully had their hand in building that player. And the worst thing that could happen to a player is that you get help from a team to build your player and then they release you because they don't want you back when they were the ones that were. And I'm not saying this is what happened, so I'm hoping that this is not what happened. So there's got to be some other stuff underlining that has nothing to do with the actual play on the field for this to occur. I just, when you get along with somebody for 3 years in 2 teams and you follow each other, something there has to have gone awry outside of the playing field.
Well, Jeff Gagne in the show chat said, big question of it all, who's Louisiana got an eye on? Should another team be afraid of low-key losing their quarterback? Bo Martin Jr. What do you think about that? And then what's your reaction to Johnny's statement? You reading chat?
Okay, yeah, I was trying to catch up on the chat.
Okay.
I feel like Johnny handled it really well. Um, you know, um, I think along the lines of what Soto was just saying about his build. I think that's going to be a challenge for some. It's going to take because Johnny's 2 years in now. And it's going to take some work to get his build right. He's still got a lot of work to be done to figure out, what kind of quarterback that he wants to be in the SFL. But I do think that his statement was not the typical Johnny. I'll be honest. I expected a little bit more bravado in that statement, and there was a lot of gratitude and contrition and understanding. And perhaps that bodes well for Johnny going forward. I feel like if Johnny perhaps softens his approach a little bit, he can go a lot further. It's the old adage that you can catch more flies with honey than you can with salt. And I feel like perhaps with Johnny, if he can soften his approach a little bit, he'll go further. And then once he gets those wins and once he gets those championships or once he gets those, at least playoff victories under his belt, I know they did relatively well last year rather. And then there's many, many different reasons why some people will say that they fell off this season. We don't even necessarily need to talk about all those, but for whatever reason, Louisiana's decided to move on, and I think that a little bit of modesty and contrition will go a long way for Johnny and helping him do well and go forward in the SFL.
Mike, let me read a comment. Teflon Ron 129. I'm not sure. I know it's not Ron Cochran. I'm not sure which Ron that is in the league, but he said more camera food. He should have waited. Too much talk trying to get a new team. Antonio Brown stuff. Shake my head. Do you agree with that, or do you think that since Louisiana told him already, we're not going to bring you back, do you have a problem with him announcing it to the public, or do you think he should have waited as well?
It may have been better served coming right after week 12. However, I don't think it's that negative of a thing to announce it now. Just because of the situation. That being said, yes, Johnny did have a long, drawn-out process to sign with Louisiana in the first place.
I'm sorry, that was Sir Ron Yates from Baltimore, so go ahead.
Gotcha. But I feel like that long, drawn-out process was because he was conflicted. He loved St. Louis. He enjoyed his time there. But he was also dedicated to Gerald. And now it seems like that relationship has prematurely ended. I thought it would go much longer. Can he get it done and help a team win? Yes. I think he's having a very off season this year. But the previous 2 seasons, he's been a very good quarterback. Brought Louisiana to the brink of possibly winning a championship. They were very, very close. And he did well in his rookie season with St. Louis. If I remember correctly, he did win Rookie of the Year that year. He's a good quarterback. He's having an off season. He will continue to improve. He's still young. It's his 3rd season. He's going to get better. He's going to help some team win. Question is now, which team is that going to be? Because it's not Louisiana anymore.
Tyler, let me go to you. You'll be the last one. I might read some more from the chat maybe. But last question to you. Where does this put Johnny and Louisiana going forward the next 2 weeks? I will say that in the chat that I was in with both Gerald and Johnny while they were trying to negotiate a joint statement together that did not happen, I do want to say that they were both very considerate of each other, both very nice to each other, very cordial. Both talked about still continuing to be friends and stuff outside the SFL, but that they just could not be teammates or have a professional SFO relationship any further. What do you think about that, Tyler? And then what do you think about them going forward the next 2 weeks, since we know they only have 2 weeks left and won't be making the playoffs?
It just means that they're are good on terms of communication. That's good. I think they just have different philosophies on how the team should move forward. And I want to, call back to Chad Rowland and chat saying, doesn't this open up an area for a minor league QB to come into Louisiana? That'd be a great opportunity for Louisiana to work with a brand new QB from scratch. That's a good idea. We'll have to see if that's the, mindset coming in. We still have, 2 more weeks of the regular season yet. So
and playoffs and everything else. Yeah.
I think in general, it's way too soon to announce anything like this. I mean, you got to give your fans hope, right? According to Cam, Louisiana's not eliminated yet. Sioux Falls isn't eliminated yet. Portland isn't eliminated yet.
Did he say Louisiana? I thought he said they were eliminated.
Portland is pretty much eliminated. That's the team that's pretty much eliminated.
Okay.
Portland is out. Louisiana and Sioux Falls still have a chance.
All right. So Tyler, since you're the last one we're talking to, let me throw this. What if Louisiana wins their next 2 games and they somehow miraculously make the playoffs? How's that? How are they gonna work together? I mean, obviously they seem like they're still friends, but is that, if you do it now, you're like, oh, we got 2 weeks left and then peace out, right? But what if it's 3 weeks and then 4 weeks or maybe even 5 weeks? Then what happens? Do we start seeing maybe some retractions if they win a championship? Do things get uglier because they're spending more time together? Where do we go with all this?
Well, based on the conversation you had with Gerald and Johnny, it doesn't appear like it's going to get, too terribly heated if they were to continue. I mean, it all depends on how the last 2 weeks of the season go. If they're in control of games, it'll be just fine. But if Louisiana's getting blown out in the last 2 weeks of the season, there'll be definitely some questions asked on. Isn't Johnny the offensive coordinator? Is that
no?
Correct,
he was. I think he was director of communications or social media director, something like that. I think.
Okay, so that's another question because I mentioned Swamp Talk earlier, and if he's the director of communications, what's going on with Swamp Talk? Because I know Swamp Talk is Gerald's project.
Actually, I believe it's Ross Napoli's project, actually.
Ross Napoli's, excuse me. Yeah. It's Ross Napoli's project. But at the same time, if he's the director of communication, this newspaper is being created, alongside him. I think there might have been a conflict between Ross and Johnny. And I think Johnny said it's me or him. And I think the decision's been made.
Real quick, Nate Hall. I don't know what you mean by I swear to God, if Michigan loses, I'm done. But, dude, Michigan's going to lose. So I don't know what to tell you, bro. That's all she wrote there. All right, so there's a lot of interesting chat in the show chat. Some criticizing of Johnny. Most of it before I read the statement, I think. I think things seemed to cool off a little bit afterwards. Let's be honest. Johnny's always had his supporters. He's always had his haters, and he probably always will. I don't know that this changes, adds to, or takes away from either of those lists at this point. But as in true Johnny fashion, we're all here at 10:47 with almost 70 viewers on a Tuesday night talking about it. So, that's where the rub is, I guess. All that being said, let's real quick go Bruins. Thank you, Halls, for your hospitality last weekend. Please go to the Access Live server to do the survey for the You're Muted Bro t-shirts, as well as vote for your who you want to win Week 10 Diva of the Week. Special thanks to Greg Soto, Bo Martin Jr., Mike All, Tyler Falk, and always the wisest man in the SFL, Gunny here. I thank all of you in the chat. This is why I do it. I love seeing you guys in there. I love the back and forth. I love all the talk, the whole 9 yards. I guess I should probably change my graphic while I'm trying to say goodbye. That would probably help too. There you go. And we're going to do it all over again in less than 48 hours. Will we have some Louisiana talk on Thursday? Probably. Will we have some guests or some more statements? Maybe. I don't know. But I will tease you with this. I actually had a pretty big show announcement I was going to announce tonight. But when this all came about, I decided to push my show announcement to Thursday night. So you will have back-to-back shows with humongous announcements on Axis Live. So stay tuned on Thursday for that as we preview our Week 11 games in the SFL. Getting down to the wire, getting down to the nitty-gritty, baby. So let's rock and roll. I'll see you in about 48 hours. Thanks for being here. Have a glorious Wednesday. Don't forget about Netma and Mickey Mouse Ears tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. And then I'll see you again Thursday at the Tees.